Welcome to Vator Box, the show where we rate your pitches. I'm Bambi Francisco. And again, I'm joined by John Shinal, who is Vator's managing editor, and Ezra Roizen, who is a digital media investment banker and a columnist for Always On. And our guest today is Kourosh Karimkhany. He is the head of Corp Dev for Condé Nast, which is the internet arm of Condé Nast. And if you watched our show last week, this is sort of our second try at this format, which is basically we bring four people together and we look at several pitches and we basically discuss the pitches and give our 2 cents. Today's topic is digital media and the rise of new media production companies and new media platforms. And like last week, we're going to have John Shinal be the keeper of the timer.
That's right. We're going 3 minutes. No company is worth talking about for more than 3 minutes on the show. So here we go. Talking about digital media companies today. We've got 3 different examples. NowLive.com, Synchronous TV, actually Abigail's Teenage Diary also, which is another production company, and For Your Imagination. They kind of run the gamut between original content, distribution, and then just live broadcasting. I think we're going to start with NowLive.com and look at that pitch quickly.
Hi, my name is Kevin Bromber, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of NowLive.com. We developed a powerful live interactive broadcasting platform that is being used by traditional media companies such as film studios, TV networks, radio stations, and print companies.
See, this is an interesting one. We had the CEO, Kevin Bromber, in here a couple weeks ago. Even though they built the community, and they've built a big community, online community, letting their users produce shows, live interactive web shows, he told us that the business model is really providing that platform to traditional media companies who want a live interactive web experience. So even though they built the technology sort of more as a community, looks like they're going after more of a traditional customer.
Yeah, I think the trick is going to be for companies like NowLive is to what extent do they, and it sounds like they're moving away from establishing their own brand and being an enabler, and then how do they essentially select, or who selects them as a platform for driving mass consumption content? Is this something that's going to be enabling lots of little broadcasts, or is this something where there are large events that choose this platform to basically operate over and make it a substantial part of their offering?
I think he's going to have lots of little broadcasts in the hopes of having one big hit. One big, maybe the rise of, as you were talking about earlier, a rise of another Howard Stern.
Right.
But what I do, I'm sorry?
TMZ, the TV show where they have the live broadcast from it's recorded, but they have a little back and forth in the newsroom going on between the reporters and editors of the stories that they're going to cover for the website. So. Yeah,
it's a very Hollywood thing. They're based in L.A., and it's sort of, they had a big event with Sony Pictures, a premiere. They had a red carpet event. So you're thinking there's going to be they're going to create their own content. Sounds like maybe try to sell some of that.
Well, there's tons of radio talk show hosts. I mean, that's who they're partnering with now, right? They're partnering with lots of radio talk shows hosts, and it's a great gimmick for them. I mean, a lot of them want to have this interaction with their audience and with their viewers. I don't know why they can't really do it with the regular phone, though.
But at the end of the day,
if they could have done it, they would have done it already.
At the end of the day, no matter what the content model is, it comes down to lots of people wanting to watch it. And if you're an enabler, whatever their revenue, as a company, whatever their revenue model is going to be some derivative of the number of people watching and viewing and consuming over their platform.
I think their best bet for them is in the short term that they focus on being a platform provider, building up that audience, and then in the long term, if their technology actually works and there's demand for it, there's a danger that the big guys like Reel and Microsoft are going to step in and build in the technology into their existing platform. So hopefully between now and then, they'll beef up their technology to such a point that they become an acquisition play.
Yeah, and one of the things they've done, they built in, one of the reasons radio stations are really going for it is because it's not only live text chat, like they were in here doing a behind the scenes when we had an interview, and people on NowLive.com were texting in, but you could also phone call, which is why radio stations like it. They're used to that model. As you said earlier, the Howard Stern putting the camera in the production studio, sort of adds another dimension for radio that wouldn't be there otherwise, and it's cheap for them. I mean, they set us up in like 5-10 minutes. NowLive.com, so it is an easy-to-use platform.
So I think for me, it's there are venues where there are live experiences which currently aren't shared over the internet. So clearly, everything from a radio broadcast, which I think is sort of the Howard Stern example, through to maybe specific concerts, maybe sporting events, sort of more niche sporting events, and maybe even like someone's church ceremony or something, where there's a time, there's a place, there's a venue, there's an event, it has a live element to it. Those are things that there's a large number of them if you think about the world from that dimension of what are the things that are happening in real time that other people may want to experience. I think there's a market there, but I think your point that is there someone else that comes along and does it cheaper,
I don't think anybody can sell the content that's actually distributed through this platform. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, they don't even archive it. They broadcast it live, but they don't archive it and try to sell it in that way.
Yeah. If you're a radio station, then it might be like a giveaway to an advertiser to land that deal, but you're not going to get any extra revenue from it. Right. And if you're a high school sports team, well, good luck getting the pizzeria to give you, $500 for it. So.
Yeah. One last thing, even though they're an online media company, the background of the executives are in the tech business, and they've had 2 successful exits, which maybe bodes well for them.
Maybe Kourosh is right. They're going for an M&A exit.
Right, what they're doing.
So we should go around the table. Thumbs up or thumbs down on Now Live?
I'm going to give this a definite thumbs medium.
Okay.
I like the company. I think we could use it on Vator, so I'll give it a thumbs up, but not too sure. I think they are kind of an M&A target sometime down the road. But
I would give it sort of a cautionary thumbs up because seeing the technology demonstrated, and this company's gotten more comments on Vator TV than any other pitch. I mean, they've really sparked a lot of debate about their business model. They've got a good management team. They're savvy. They're building it. They're talking to traditional media. I think they're in good shape. I do think they'll probably, rather than being independent, M&A might be the way to go.
Yeah, if they focus on the platform play, I'll give it a cautionary thumbs up since that's
But we
allowed.
we didn't ask you, Kourosh, would you buy them?
I would not.
Okay.
I would not. Since we don't sell technology platforms.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if they focus specifically on the media model, thumbs down.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, next up, we're ready to go with the next one, which is Synchronous TV. These guys have an entertainment industry background. They're veteran writers, producers from TV. They do these live webisodes. They mix them in real time. They broadcast them in real time. And the actors and producers and writers are all sort of doing the same thing. So let's take a look at the pitch and we'll talk about that.
Hi, I'm Catherine.
And I'm Giuseppe Jones. And we are the founders of Synchronous.tv.
Compelling, character-rich, plot-driven webisodes broadcast live via the internet.
Synchronous.tv aims to stand at the forefront of the intersection of media and technology by merging 2 booming internet trends, online video and live web shows.
Yeah, I mean, if you can tell by the use of all the big sort of catchwords, it's a Hollywood thing, and they've got a grand vision. But
Let's look at Abigail's.
Oh, Abigail's X-rated teen diary too. They're doing roughly, he's doing something similar, which is to create. How do they describe it in big terms? Character-rich
Episodes.
Hi, my name's Abigail, and this is my video diary. I have Bloomberger syndrome. Like, this is how I looked a few months ago at the end of 7th grade. And this is me now. Awkward turtles. Hey, diary. Okay, so, I am, the biggest fan ever of Perez Hilton, the Gossip Queen. And, that's something I want to do one day. I'd have to be, the Gossip Princess. So I'm going to start, with today's episode. And by the way, P.S. Perez, there's a space right here next to me that, you could come lay down and we could do, episodes together,
Okay, you like this one. Tell us why.
I do, because it's entertaining. I mean, that's what you get on the web, just a bunch of entertaining clips. I don't know if I'd be Actually, I'm addicted to it. That's actually why. I'm waiting for the next episode.
Okay.
He's kind of, disturbing, but,
Let's say you said you're drawn to it. Even
I'm drawn to it. As disturbing as it may be, I'm drawn to it. I think that I said 2 years ago at the On Hollywood conference, the first On Hollywood conference, that the time has sort of come. The platforms are in place. The infrastructure was in place for really creative new forms of content. So fundamentally, I believe that there are lots of openings now for new content creators. The bar is way down in terms of production costs, and lots of people can enter the market.
I'm glad you didn't say production quality.
Yeah, production quality and cost. But the bar is low. At the same time, there's going to be so many participants sifting through as a business. Is this the one that will succeed? I'm not qualified to tell you. I'm not a label guy or a studio guy who can say this does and this won't succeed. I also think the question is long and short form, to the extent that designing stuff for the internet, will people watch 15, 20, 30, 45-minute show,
Well, yeah,
or will they watch 5 minutes of a guy bouncing on some big pillows?
Well, this latter one is those are about a minute long, and he does have a pretty good audience going. The other one, they have a show.
Well, how big?
I'm not sure. I think what did he say? He got up to a million views, or that might have been an aggregate.
A million views, that would be good for an aggregate for his show, but
to be big and interesting.
You can do back of the envelope math here. You can do, if you do 1 million page views, we're not counting streams or anything like that. If you do 1 million page views, he's not going to make more than, I'd say $100 to $500 in a month.
Per episode? Oh.
No, per month. If you're saying 1 million page views.
for
That's
what
based on
kind
the
of
advertising model.
CPMs though? I mean,
It would be very
he
low
could be-
CPMs. It would be very low sell-through rates.
Right.
So
We were doing the numbers that if it $5 CPM, you had to do, if you did 10 million page views, then you'd be bringing like $600,000
that's $500.
a
That's
year.
$5 CPMs.
$5
Assuming it's 100.
CPMs.
If it's you're assuming it's 100% sell-through,
Right.
Right.
which almost nobody sees.
Right.
So and frankly, we might have trouble finding somebody willing to sell those pages. He's probably going to be stuck with Google AdSense.
Well, what he's doing is his model is just really product placement, I believe. So
Oh, really?
bringing in, although you don't see, I don't know.
The pink pillow
The pink
manufacturers.
pillow
Associations are all over it.
But that's what
Because
he's
sales
doing.
are going way up.
But that's something.
Yeah,
I'm not
sure.
sure what somebody would give him. I don't even know what kind of, consumer company would actually.
But to Kourosh's point, the math
brand.
we were doing, we were trying to figure out the question was, if you're going to make a profitable product out of one of these things, what's the consumption you have to have? And it was, you don't, regardless of the sort of general CPM sell-through, whatever, you don't get even into the game until millions of people watch something.
Right.
Right.
So millions of people have to be watching a piece of content before even the math begins to make sense. And that's a pretty...
That's tough.
That's a tough.
That's
You're
a
going to be
high bar.
consistently producing to get to that level.
And
That's a
it's-
pretty successful product.
And think about the people who are producing just for fun.
Right.
Like the 100,000 videos on YouTube that are uploaded every day. Like that's 70
That's very
videos
different-
per
that's a
minute.
very different business idea. So
It's a different business idea, but they are also taking away his potential audience, our potential audience. It's just that these people really don't care if they're making money. The people uploading on YouTube, some of them might, but what they are doing is taking away the audience from people who do want to make money.
Right. So I don't think Abigail, our friend Abigail, is going to have much of a business, unfortunately, if he is out to sell the ads, do the production, do the distribution, get the marketing, all that, all by himself. As with Hollywood or TV, his best shot is setting up a production company where he makes videos and he sells it to a distributor of some kind, a studio or a social network like a MySpace or whatever, and he gets paid that way. To try to make money from this,
Yeah. Even if he
I
hooked
wish
up
him
with
luck.
an ad network, it would still be tough. He still
It would
needs
still be
an
tough.
audience. Now, what's interesting about Synchronous, if we can jump to Synchronous TV,
Right.
we didn't really talk about it. So I was
Right.
watching some of their webisodes. They're pretty dark and sobering. Did you see
Yeah,
them?
yeah, I saw them. They have one called
Very
35, which is about
dramatic.
this middle-aged couple, and it
They're all
was,
about
the acting
couples.
was okay. It wasn't really that compelling. And I have to say that it wasn't, and that was a longer form. I think those were like 5 or 6 minutes, and I'm not sure, I don't see people staying tuned in for that whole thing. I don't know, I could be wrong.
Well,
Video.
I think Catherine does a good job. I kind of like Catherine, and she's on Vator.
Yeah.
She's uploading episodes. But
I mean, I was comparing
think
with
that's
TV.
interesting. But no, what I don't understand, and I do understand sort of the drama and how the audience is drawn to drama. That's why people love soap operas.
It is soap
I actually disagree. Online,
People
the
are not
emotional.
drawn to drama.
Well, they are, but online, the emotional payoff has to be within 30 seconds or a minute because you're competing against the bookmark lists in your browser. If you don't have that payoff in 20 seconds, forget it. You're gone.
It's all about the anticipation. But you're saying
just-
get right to the.
It takes 5 minutes to set up the plot.
Set up the plot.
To who the characters are, what the drama is, what the plot points are going to be.
Yeah, that's what I
So
found it
here,
dragging a
I
little.
thought, I watched a few of the episodes, but what's lost on me is this live component. So, because I think with the live component, much like Now Live, and the attraction or the value of that feature is to be able to interact with the talent, and in those episodes, I'm not quite sure why you need.
At what point you're going to interject?
I mean, we talked about this earlier, and we chatted about it briefly as well. I mean, I think there's a reason why the writers are on strike. I think there's a reason why there's a term called starving artists. I think that most of the things people produce for artistic output end up not being fully monetized, or the channel eats away the creation. If you think of the writers being the well of creation in Hollywood, by the time that product reaches the consumer, it's been chopped up so many times and so much money has been taken out of the system that they have to go on strike with their union in order to claim some of the work they created. I think it's not totally dissimilar online. It's going to be different. It's going to be different partners taking their piece, but you're going to have the platform provider, you're going to have the ad network, you're going to have the distribution partner. Right. You're going to have a lot of people. For something to get hugely successful, it's going to have to fit into some economic system where there's going to be lots of people basically taking their cut.
And does that change the quality of the programming? I mean, I was reading somewhere that in the fall season of the 27 shows, none of them were hits. And I don't know if that is a reflection of the quality of the program or the fact that everybody's watching different
Well, that's it. It's a narrowcasting world. I mean, this is kind of narrowcasting taken to the extreme, where it's of interest to maybe 100,000 people, maybe the people and everybody they know and people they've worked with or something like that. I'd say something quickly, though, when you talk about product placement, which I think there is a possibility.
Sure.
We had a company that put a pitch on Vator Dad Labs. We wrote about them a couple weeks ago. They told me that they're sort of taking it back to the 1950s model, where they get someone to sponsor an entire show or an entire week of shows, where they weave it into the plot, or it's more like a how-to thing. So they just mention the company. And it's like today, and they sort of do real campy, over the top. We're sponsored today by whatever, and just do a little piece, and they're getting sponsorships that way. I mean, that's, if you think about the 1950s, the Ronald Reagan GE TV, going back to one company sponsoring the whole show. But again, the content has to be compelling to get somebody interested.
Let me ask you a question, John. Will there be, beyond that, the next level, obviously, is you pay for it. I mean, will there be subscription models on the internet for content in the next 5 years?
Subscription models?
Subscription models. People pay $5 a month for access to great online content.
I think if the PC and the TV get together, that's huge. I mean, if you could get this in your living room, and you're going to sit there on the couch, you might think about that. But again, there's so much competition. Probably want to go around, though. Thumbs up or thumbs down on synchronous, original content providers we're talking about.
I'm thumbs up on the category. I'm not qualified to say if these will be the winners, but I think the category, I think that there's going to be great innovation. I think there's so many creative people out there that will be hits. So, thumbs up generally.
I agree, too. It's sort of this creative freedom we're seeing in the internet era, much like it was in radio in the 20s and TV in the 40s. And I just love watching just everyone getting creative. I like what the people are doing. I like that there's creative types who are trying to do this and show like that. But if you think about the model of original content, I mean, there's a reason why the networks have offloaded a lot of production, right? They're mostly distributors because it costs a lot of money and it's a hits business. It maybe these guys are somebody else. 1 or 2 out of 100 shows might be a big hit, but the odds are against original content providers in this kind of format. If you're talking 5 or 6 minutes, I think there's a 30-second or minute-long thing that's compelling on YouTube. I'm not sure how you monetize it, but I think something like this, I have my doubts.
Thumbs down.
Yeah. Okay.
You need an
so
infrastructure.
The former Bloomberg reporter. Thumbs down on this.
Double Bloomberg thumbs down.
You need specialization of labor. You need an infrastructure for distribution, marketing, advertising.
Right.
Starving actors trying to make a business out of this.
Right.
They're better off being waiters.
On a writer's strike?
You mentioned distribution. You mentioned distribution, right? Our last and final one now is exactly that. They're called For Your Imagination. And what they're doing is distributing shows, original shows that other people are doing. They've got a slightly different model.
Meg, look at this place. Well, this place is like a mansion. It's like a mansion. Look at all this stuff. Yeah. Come on, give it to me. Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, give it to me. Booyah! Done. Next.
One thing I would give these guys a plug, because Dad Labs we were talking about before said that what For Your Imagination did for them was allow them to focus on the content creation. All they had to do was script it. These guys produced it, marketed, sold the sponsorship, sold the ads, sold also merchandising. They've got like 4 or 5 different ways to try to generate revenue for online original content creators, purely a distribution model.
So, I mean, the same point I made before, I believe at the end of the day, all of these models are somehow derivative of the end consumption of the content produced on the platform. So although these guys have abstracted a layer and have created a place, a venue for creating content, at the end of the day, if they don't have a hit somewhere in the portfolio, so to speak, then the business model, because it is a hits business, the business model will be shaky.
Right. They knew. I mean, very similar to Synchronous TV and Evil Global Corp. I mean, they've got to come up with a winner, just like you said.
Yeah,
and so even though they've spread it across a number of companies, they're still making bets with all those companies. It's so labor intensive. I mean, they should. I think it's a tough business. I looked at some of their shows, Bleacher blogs for sports fans, Vet Dogs for people who like vets, Corvettes, Bridorama for advice from recently married. I mean, that's.
Well, that's it. If you could have 500 channels on satellite, you could have 1 million different narrowcasted channels on the web. You know?
The way I see these guys is they're essentially a consulting company. So what they do is they just find customers, charge by the hour, or they might have a rev share. But still, at the end of the day, it comes out to renting out bodies, renting out brain power for a set fee.
Right.
Problems with that business are, if you're good at it, then you're going to attract attention. You're going to the barriers to entry are very low for competition. If you do a good job for your client at a certain point is going to realize, hey, you know what? We're making a lot of money. Why don't we just hire a couple of kids and do this ourselves? And then third, it's not very scalable. So let's say you're very successful. Let's say you actually do get 10 clients. To get the next 10 clients, you're going to have to hire a whole boatload of people, train them, retain the old ones, put in bonus structures and all that kind of stuff.
Like you were calling it.
It's a body shop.
Yeah, it's going to be tougher, and to that point, it's going to be tough for them to keep a star. To keep a winning program, they're not going to stay with that platform. They'll look elsewhere to get a better deal.
If it's a one-off, if you're a newspaper that needs a local, quick show, like maybe 3 or 4 episodes, fine, you can use them. If it's an ongoing thing, the newspaper is very quickly going to realize that the economics should just cut them loose and then do it on their own.
So I think, I mean, if they can create sort of a studio model where they have rights to the content and sign the talent and get into all that stuff,
happen.
Then maybe there's a way to sort of economically protect your hit. But I think it could be tricky if they don't have that stuff. It could be tricky because, like you said, they'll grow out of it.
I think one thing we're talking about here, it's interesting when you think about the YouTube Google suit, or you think about the spat when NBC pulled its shows off of iTunes. I think that's really the content versus distribution argument and who's going to make the money, I think, is going to be played out at the large level with iTunes and at the smaller level here. Sort of to your point, who has a business model that's defensible, that no one else can easily duplicate it. And I mean, a lot of people could, any of us could create a show if we wanted to. However, if you could build a pretty good distribution network, I think possibly those type of businesses might have more of a chance than content producers. Because if you think about where a lot of the money is taken out of the Hollywood value chain, it's in syndication, in the distribution, it's in the reach. If you could put the content in front of an audience and sell ads against it, I think you have a chance. So
I think they'd have to do a lot more for the producers or the people who are creating the content. They will have to provide a lot more value add in order for them to be a significant partner, a long-term partner. Because just providing that, as you call, consulting services, I think that once you are a show that actually has an audience, you will leave. But if this company wants to grow with you and grow with all of the companies that are producing content with them, I think they need to continue to add. And I don't know what those services are, but I mean, there is a possibility that there will be a new internet distribution company like this, or like Revision 3, or like Next New Networks. But again, they have to provide more than the studio, provide more than the producer. They have to provide, and I know they're getting into marketing, a little bit of that, but maybe more distribution.
Right. Okay, I think go around. Quick, the thumbs up or thumbs down, and why?
I mean, I would say one last point, and then before the pre-thumb. At the end of the day, these guys, if these content companies start saying, we're going to take our content direct. Then they get about 6 months into the business, they say, you know what, they forget about the direct thing, we have this great content, we just need to find a syndication partner. And you know what, we need to go to the Condé Nast, we need to go to NBC, or we need to go to Viacom, we need to go to somebody who can basically get this content out. And all of a sudden the whole vision of going direct disappears when they realize it's actually hard to get traffic. The traffic doesn't just show up.
Right.
You have to have people who get it. And then it becomes like being discovered again. And then it starts to look a lot more like the original model. So the question becomes, how do you create a product that is going to be discovered, regardless if it's going to be distributed over DVD or online or on TV or whatever it is? It's actually sort of the same challenge. It's got to be great. So I think this one probably begrudgingly sort of mostly down. Maybe if they can figure out a model where they can get and keep great content, but I do believe at the end of the day it is a function of consumption. And I think the tricky model here is how do they capture that consumption.
I think it's a tough business, so it's not a business that I would get into. Do I have to give a thumb?
Thumb one way. I have to say, surprisingly, maybe thumbs up, and I'll tell you why. Because the distribution, even though you said before that their customers might figure out that they could do it themselves, there are millions of people who want to create these type of shows and are looking for a distributor now. And if these guys can create some value, as you said, either through sponsorships or product placement or advertising or something, I think there's enough content creators to support a business model for them. So businesses like this, For Your Imagination, the distribution online model, I think, yeah.
Well, they'll get all the writers.
Oh, wait. Our guest gets the last word here. Kourosh.
Thumbs down. From an innovation point of view, they're your classic body shop with the incumbent problems. If they execute well, if they get a lot of clients, then maybe thumbs up.
Kourosh, you are tough. So I take it you wouldn't buy any of these companies or anything close.
Would not buy any of these. No.
The execs are happy to say you're not going to be opening the wallet for these guys. Okay.
All right. We'll have to have you come back on, and this time you pick the pitches that we'll look at.
How can I say no?
Okay.
Okay, well that's time's up, and that's it for this episode of Vator Box. I think we came up with the name. We finally decided on the name, but if you have any ideas or any thoughts, the audience, please let us know. Send those in. And thank you, Kourosh Karimkhany. He is the head of Corp Dev at Condé Nast, the internet arm of Condé Nast. He's on Vator. We'll make sure so you can ping him if you have an interesting company. Right, Kourosh?
Sure. I'll be happy to do
And John Shinal, of course, and Ezra Roizen. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Vator Box.
See you next week.